It was the year 1870, and I was a 21-year-old Denmark immigrant traveling to the weathered streets of New York City. I was accompanied by massive amounts of foreign immigrants, all in search of work and opportunity, to discover a better version of life. I had realized there was more to life than working as a carpenter in Copenhagen, and thus left Europe to the promised lands in North America. I would soon find this promise of prosperity, but only after starting at the first rung of the social ladder where so many of my kind lingered, unable to climb out of the dirt and stench of liquor. I couldn't find work and was forced to spend restless nights in police station lodging houses, and I grew angry at the classes above me who turned a blind eye to people like me. I was determined to expose the tyrannies and abuses that sponsored the awful living conditions of the poor, and therefore set out to do so. 3 years after emigrating, I found work with a news bureau in New York City and was recruited to South Brooklyn News a year later. I became a police reporter for a number of years afterwards, and then in 1888 I found my calling as a photojournalist for the New York Evening Sun. I invested $25 in a 4x5 box camera, plate holders, a tripod, and developing and printing equipment, and set out to use photography to document the shunned, the castaways, the ones that barely got a second glance on the street. I wanted to force everyone to take that second look. By experiencing the poverty firsthand, I was able to successfully capture the vast amount of immigrants that made up the New York City slums. The longing faces of deprived children, dirty and crowded rooms, and beds made out of wooden boards and flimsy tangled blankets were my subjects. In my early stages of photography, I used a magic lantern to project my images on sheets that hung between trees and on screens behind windows. I did this mainly in Brooklyn, hoping that passers-by would take notice. More than anything, I wanted to capture the dark corners at night when the poverty and the cold truly set in. I was one of the first to use flash powder, which I lit in a frying pan, allowing me to take pictures inside and outside the slums at nighttime, where light is scarce. In 1893, New York experienced a financial panic that lasted until 1897 that added to the unemployment rate. Riots and strikes from labor unions against wage reduction resulted, and I captured this through my photos, known as muckraking journalism. I felt the weight of starting from nothing in an unfamiliar country. I felt what it's like to smell the stink of rotting wood and bad hygiene, what it's like to not have a home. My initial misfortune inspired me to publish How the Other Half Lives, exposing living conditions of New York City's tenement slums, as well as Children of the Poor and my autobiography, The Making of an American. I can only hope that my work to reveal the other side of New York inspires those with a passion like mine. A passion to document through the lens a necessary change that needs to be made.